welcome back to the channel. Hope everyone is doing well. So it's been a while since the last lesson concerning our Cafegram app. We're done with this series. So today I'm gonna show you a new subject. It's called Adaptive UI, which means Adaptive User Interface. Okay, so like this one, today I'm gonna show you how to create this nice design. Okay, and when we turn the iPhone, the device, as you can see, our design behaves correctly. Okay, so in today's lesson we're going to see how to create this cool stuff. Okay, so if you're ready now, let's get started. Hide the simulator for the moment. Okay, maybe here, and we are going together first fire up Xcode. Okay, and create a new project using the single view application template. Okay, so let me like this. Okay, perfect. So press next. Here we're going to call it Adaptive UI. Okay, and I'm gonna write EN for the English version of this tutorial. Okay, and concerning the other fields, you can let them by default and just create the project. Okay, like this. Okay, so once you are here, you are going to open main.storyboard. Okay, in interface builder you should find a view controller that has the size of an iPhone 8. Okay, so today we are going to work on this device, so don't worry, you can stay with this view controller. Okay, cool. So now we'll start to design the app UI. First, download this image pack. Okay, so I'm going to put the link into the description below. Okay, and import the images into this catalog. Okay, so where is it? Like this. Okay, select the three images and you just drag and drop them like this. Cool. You can close this window and now go back to the storyboard. Okay, now we are going to drag an image view from the object library to the view controller. So here you're going to write image, for instance. Okay, and then you just drag this object like this. Okay, into the view controller. Okay, then you are going to go here in the right side in size inspector, here. Okay, and you are going to change the width to 375. Okay, press enter, and the height to 390. Press enter. Also, you are going to replace this image view manually. Okay, so that it fits the screen, and then you're going to go to the attributes inspector. Okay, set the image to iWatch. Okay, press enter, and the mode to aspect fill. Okay, here. Cool. Then drag a view to the view controller. Okay, so here you can write UI view. Okay, and put it right below the image view. This view serves as a container for holding other UI components like labels. Okay, by grouping related UI components under the same view, it will be easier for us to work with auto layout in the later section. Okay, so in size inspector, make sure you set the width to 375. Okay, and the height to 277. Okay, like this. Cool. And then again place it manually into the view controller. Okay, like this. Cool. So throughout this lesson I will refer to this view as product info view. So here you can change its name by double clicking on this line, on the line, and write product info view and press enter. Cool. Next, drag a label to product info view. So label like this. Okay. Change the label to here in the attributes inspector to PSD iWatch. Okay, like this. Mockup templates with a space between these two words. Okay, and press enter. Okay, set the font to Avenir Next. So here you're going to set it to custom and then select Avenir Next. This one, cool. And its size to 25 points. Okay, press done. In size inspector, here change the value of X to 15 and Y to 15 as well. Then drag another label and place it right below the previous label. Okay, like this. Okay, in attributes inspector, change the text to okay, press enter. Set the font to Avenir Next again. Okay, here. Change the font size to 18 points and the number of lines to 0. Okay, here 0. Cool. And here the alignment, you are going to choose this one. Nice. Then under size inspector, change the value of X to 15 like this. Okay, and Y to 58. Press enter. Okay, set the width to 352 and height to 182 and press enter. Cool. Note that the two labels should be placed inside product info view. You can double check by opening document outline. Okay, the two labels are put under the view. Cool. Perfect. Maybe I should put a point at the end of this sentence like this. Okay, cool. Now let's define the layout constraints for the UI components. First, let's start with the image view. Okay, select the image view and click the Add New Constraints button, okay, on the Autolayout menu to create spacing constraints. For the left, top, and right sides, set the value to 0, okay. Make sure the constraint margins option is unchecked because we want to set the constraint relative to the super view's edge. Then click the Add 3 Constraints button, okay, like this. Cool. Next, open document outline. Okay, control drag from the image view to the main view. Okay, like this. When prompted, select equal heights from the pop-up menu. Equal heights, this one. Okay. Once the equal heights constraint is added, it should appear in the constraints section of document outline. Okay, this one. Cool. Select the constraint here and go to size inspector. Okay, here you can edit the value of the constraint to change its definition. Before moving on, make sure the first item is set to iWatch.height and the second item is set to superview.height. Okay, so by default the value of the multiplier is set to 1, which means the iWatch image view takes up 100% of the main view. Okay, As mentioned earlier, the image view should only take up around 60% of the main view, so change the multiplier from 1 to 0.585, okay? Like this, and press enter. Cool. Next, select Product Info View and click the Add New Constraints button, okay? Select the left, right, and bottom sides here and set the value to 0. Make sure the constraint margin option is unchecked. Then click the Add 3 Constraints button. This adds 3 spacing constraints for the product info view, okay? Cool. Furthermore, we have to define a spacing constraint between the image view and the product info view. In document outline, control drag from the image view, okay, to product info view like this. When prompted, select vertical spacing, this one, okay, from the menu. This creates a vertical spacing constraint such that there is no spacing between the bottom side of the image view and the top of the product info view, okay? If you take a look at the views rendered on other devices, the image view should now fit for all devices, okay? However, there is still a lot of work to do for the labels. So here you're going to select this icon, okay? Put the mouse on this line, and before clicking on main.storyboard, press Option on the keyboard. Then you click on main.storyboard, okay, and you will get there, okay? You can close for the moment this side, and here you can see your design on multiple devices. So here we are going to select, for instance, iPhone 4S, iPhone SE, iPhone X, and iPhone 8 Plus, okay, for instance. Cool. Here, as you can see, our labels are truncated on some devices, okay, for instance, on the iPhone 4S, on the iPhone SE, etc., etc., okay. So now let's define the necessary constraints for the two labels, okay. So you can close this window by clicking here, okay, and you can reopen our document outline, okay. Cool. And here you can also open this one. Select the title label, okay, so this one, which is the one with the larger font size. Click the Add New Constraints button. Set the value of the top side to 15, okay, left side to 15, and right side to 15, okay, like this. Again, make sure the constraint margins is deselected and click Add 3 Constraints, like this, okay. Next, select the other label, okay. Again, we'll add 3 spacing constraints for the top, left, right, and bottom sides, okay, like this. So here it's gonna be 15, here 15, here 15, and here, no, sorry. So here is gonna be 8, left and right sides 15, and 15 for the bottom side, okay, like this, okay. Then press Add 4 Constraints. Cool. As soon as the constraint is added, you will see a few constraint lines in red, indicating some layout issues. Auto layout issues can occur when some of the constraints are ambiguous. To fix these issues, go to Document Outline and click the red disclosure arrow to see a list of the issues, okay? So Xcode is smart enough to resolve these issues for us. Simply click the indicator icon, okay, this one, and a pop-over shows you the possible solutions. When prompted, click simply change priority to resolve these issues. Cool. So we've created all the auto layout constraints. We can check out the preview and see how the UI looks. Okay. Normally on every device, it should be correctly displayed. However, on our iPhone 4S and iPhone SE, the labels are still truncated, so we haven't finished yet. Okay, so let me sidetrack a bit and ask you a question. Why doesn't iOS expand the title label instead of the description label? There are actually two options for iOS to render the UI that satisfies the layout constraints. Okay, so here, if we select the description label and go to the attributes inspector, we should notice that the content hugging priority here is set to 250. Vertical is set to 250. Okay, now if we select the title label and check out its content hugging priority, we should notice that it's set to 251. Okay, in other words, it has a higher content hugging priority for the vertical axis than the description label. The value of content hugging priority helps iOS determine which view it should enlarge. Okay, the view with a higher hugging priority can resist from growing larger than its intrinsic size. Here, the title label has a higher hugging priority. This is why I always choose to make the description label larger, while the size of the description label is unchanged. Now that you should have a basic understanding of the content hugging priority, let's continue to fix the first issue we have discovered. Okay, we have defined 4 spacing constraints for the label. If you look into the constraints, each of them has a relation equal. Okay, here I think, as you can see, the relation is always equal. Okay, this means each side of the label should have the exact same space as we specify in the constraints when rendering the description label. The space can't be bigger or smaller. So how can we modify the constraint so that the description label is placed under the title label regardless of the screen size? Instead of strictly set the constraint relation to equal, the bottom space constraint should have some more flexibility. Okay, the space is not required to equal 15 points. This is just the minimum space we want. The space can actually grow with the screen size. So now double click the bottom space constraint. Okay, I think it's this one. Yes, change the relation from equal to greater than or equal. Okay, like this. Once the change is made, the space issue should be fixed. Okay, it's time to look into the second layout issue. The title and the description labels are partially displayed for some of the iPhone models. This issue is pretty easy to fix. We can just let iOS auto shrink the font size for devices with smaller screen sizes. Select the title label and go to the attributes inspector. Set the value of auto shrink to minimum font size. Okay, repeat the same procedures for the description label. So here, like this. Okay, that's it. If we check again our UI, now it should be well displayed on every device. Okay, as you can see, our labels are not truncated anymore. Okay, so it's very cool. So now I'm gonna show you another thing. Okay, So how can we display correctly our design if how can I say, if the device is in landscape mode? Okay, so that's what I'm gonna show you right now. So you can close this window, and to set the font size for special orientation, okay, first switch to the iPad device in interface builder, for instance. Okay, so here we're going to select, I think this one, yes, iPad Pro 9.7 inches. Okay, now select the title label under the attributes inspector. Okay, you should see a plus button next to the font field here. Okay, click the plus button, make both width and height are set to regular. Okay, and then click add variation like this. You will then see a new entry for the font option here, which is dedicated to that particular size class. Okay, keep the size intact for the original font option, but change the size of width regular, height regular font field to 35 points. Okay, like this. Cool. This will instruct iOS to use the second font with a larger font size on iPad. For the iPhone devices, the original font will still be used to display the text. Now select the description label. Again, under the Attributes Inspector, click the plus button and click Add Variation. Okay, change the size to 25. Look at the preview or test the app in simulators. Okay, so we are going to try it here. So here I'm gonna bring an iPad Pro 9.7 inches full screen. Okay, and as you can see here, the design is perfectly displayed. Okay, because before these changes, the design was not appropriate to iPads. Okay, now the layout looks perfect on all screen sizes. So now I'm gonna show you how to create another design for the view to take advantage of the wider screen size in landscape orientation. Okay, this is the true power of size classes. Okay, with a wider but shorter screen size, it would be best to present the image view and product info view side by side. Okay, so first we have to move the existing layout constraints to a size class such that the constraints are activated when the device is an iPad or iPhone in portrait orientation. Okay, so in the device configuration pane here, we are going to select the iPhone 8 first, and then you should find the Vary for Threads button, this one. Okay, which is designed for creating user interface variation. When you click the button, a pop-over appears with two options for you to choose. In this case, select height, okay, and click anywhere in the interface builder. Okay, the device configuration pane turns blue and shows you the affected devices for the size class we just selected. Okay, if you click the varying 26 regular hide devices option, it will reveal all the affected devices including iPad and iPhone portrait. Okay, here. While in the variation mode, any changes you made to the canvas will apply to the current variation only. As we want to migrate all existing constraints to this variation, select all constraints in document outline. Okay, holding Command key and select each of the constraint, okay, like this. Next, go to the size inspector and click the plus button next to the installed option to create a variation, okay, here. Okay, and then click add variation, okay, like this. Interface Builder then shows you an install checkbox for the regular height size class here. Because all existing constraints should be applied to this size class only, uncheck the installed checkbox and check the HR install checkbox. This means all the selected constraints are activated for the iPad and iPhone portrait devices. Lastly, click Done Varying to complete the changes. Okay, cool. So how do we know if the constraints are applied to the regular height device only? In the device configuration pane, you can change the orientation of the iPhone to landscape. Okay, you should find that the UI in landscape is no longer rendered properly and all the constraints are grayed out, which means that they don't belong to this size class. Okay, now it's time to redesign the app layout in landscape orientation and define a separate set of layout constraints. Make sure you select the iPhone 8 device and landscape orientation in the device configuration bar. Again, click the Vary for Traits button in the popover, select height to create variation for all iPhone devices in landscape mode. Okay. From now on, all the changes you are going to make will apply to the selected size class only. First, select the iWatch image view in the size inspector. Set X to 0, okay, and Y to 0, width to 333, press enter, okay, and height to 375. 375, press enter. Okay, in the attributes inspector, make sure the clip to bounds option is enabled. Okay. Next, select the view that holds the title and description label. So here, okay. Go to the size inspector and set X to 333. Okay. Y to 0. Okay. Width to 334 and height to 375, like this. Okay. Lastly, resize the title and description labels to make them fit. Here I change the width of both labels to 303 points. Okay, so here, like this. Cool. So far we haven't defined any layout constraints for this size class. Now select the iWatch image view and click the add new constraints button. Okay, add 4 space constraints for the top, bottom, left and right sides, like this. Then add 4 constraints. Okay, next select the view, okay, and add 3 space constraints, 0, 0, 0, like this. Okay, the rest is to add the layout constraints for the title and description labels. Select the title label, okay, and click the add new constraints button. Add the space constraint for the top, bottom, left and right sides. Okay, then add 2 space constraints for the description label, 15, 15, 16 and 8. Okay, add for constraints. Okay, and then here no 16. Okay, like this. Cool. As we want both views to take up 50% of the screen, control drag from the iWatch image view to the container view. So here, iWatch to the container view, like this. When the popover appears, select equal width to add the constraint. Lastly, make sure you click Done Varying, like this. Cool. If you look closer to the constraints in the document outline view, here, okay, you should see that some constraints are enabled while some are grayed out. Those constraints in normal color are applied in the current size class, okay? So if you switch over to the portrait mode, you will see a different set of constraints enabled. This is how you use size classes to apply different sets of layout constraints and layout to different UIs in Interface Builder. If you run the app using any of the iPhone signatures, you will see two distinct UIs for portrait and landscape orientation. Another great thing is that iOS renders a smooth transition when the view is changed from portrait to landscape. So to change the portrait to landscape orientation, you just have to press Command and then left or right. Okay, it looks pretty awesome, right? Hopefully you now understand how to use size classes to customize fonts and view design for a specific size class combination. On top of these customizations, you can use size classes to customize a particular constraint, okay? So for instance, we want that in landscape orientation, these two labels are in the middle of the container, okay? So first change the device to iPhone 8 Plus here, okay? And set the orientation to landscape in the device configuration pane. As we want to apply layout specialization for this device in this particular orientation, click the Vary for threads here, okay, and select both height and width options. Okay, Interface Builder should indicate that the change will only apply to the regular width and compact height device. Next, select the vertical space constraint for the top side of the title label. So here, this one, okay, this one. In the attributes inspector, here, you should see the constant field, okay? The value defines the vertical space in points. As we want to increase this value for this particular size class, click the plus button and confirm to add variation, okay? Here, add variation, okay? This will create an additional field for this size class. Set the value to 150, press enter, okay? 150 points, that's it. Remember to click the Done Varying button to save the changes, okay? Cool. And now I'm gonna show you, so here, this is the iPhone. So I'm gonna relaunch my app, okay, my simulator. And here, as you can see, in landscape orientation, the labels are still like the previous, like the default position, okay? But if I launch an iPhone 8 Plus, then I hit the run button, you will see that for this particular device in landscape orientation, our two labels are here. Cool, isn't it? So here you have both of them, and as you can see, you have both both design, okay? So that means you can configure the design for a particular size class if you want. Okay, guys? So I think we wrap it up for today. So thank you very much for watching this tutorial, and I see you in the next lesson, guys. Bye bye.